So, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
I'm joined in the car today by two beautiful people. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
My name's Taylor Anderson.
And I'm Hayley Anderson. I'm Taylor's mum.
I thought you were going to say, hi, I'm Mum Anderson.
I'm Mum Ando.
Mum Ando. And Taylor, you have been connected with the Breakthrough family for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've lived experience with mental illness and eating disorder. Was diagnosed in 2020, and throughout the time where I was recovering, I kind of came to this realization that there were so many people struggling from the same thing, and I wanted to be able to help. And from there I kind of jumped onto a little advocacy journey, and actually found Breakthrough through Mum, because Mum's known you for a while. And then once I kind of connected with you guys, you've been super supportive, and I've had lots of advocacy opportunities and the chance to talk to young people and spread awareness about mental health. And I'm working in the mental health industry now, which is pretty cool. So I'm really enjoying it, and I love being able to, have healthy conversations with people about mental health and share my story, because I feel like it gives me a lot of strength. So that's been really great.
That's so good. Mum, in the back.
Yeah, pretty proud, obviously, to see your child go through something so extraordinarily painful and life-changing at such a young age, but to then watch them, I guess, share their vulnerability and turn that into a strength is nothing short of remarkable. And yeah, I think the support of Breakthrough and being able to share her story through her advocacy work and it has just been nothing short of transformative for her in her journey. So yes, I'm very proud of her.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thanks, Mum.
Yeah, it's like, you tell her to say that.
No.
But it's been, as you said, a very challenging journey, especially when you watch somebody you love dearly go through a great challenge and the complexity of that. So how did you cope?
Oh, it's really difficult actually to look back and pinpoint one thing. I guess it was a variety of things, not just one thing. We coped through the support of course, family and friends, and organisations like Breakthrough, and through professionals and Taylor's clinical team. And a lot of how we coped was through education. When Taylor was first diagnosed with an eating disorder, it didn't even occur to me when she was diagnosed that she actually had anorexia, which sounds really strange because you'd think it would be obvious. And I think that's part of the problem, is the stigma around eating disorders and what is perceived and assumed and is not actually necessarily the case. So yeah, education was a big part of how we coped. We had to learn very quickly about eating disorders and how prevalent they are, and what was going on for Taylor personally and what contributed to that, and then how we could then support her as a family to find her way to recovery.
Yeah, and you mentioned that about the clinical teams. Taylor, you were supported by the statewide eating disorder services, is that right?
Yeah, I was supported by, there were so many different services involved, I guess, through recovery, which I think is both really positive and difficult at the same time, because you're having to share your story with so many different people, and repeating those really difficult moments can be, have quite an impact on you, I guess. So that was actually quite intense, but SEDS and everyone else who was involved was super supportive, but at the same time, you're going through something really difficult, so it's very confusing, and sometimes it did feel really difficult to have hope that I would recover and get out the other side, and I guess that's where all of the organisations coming together to support me is what was really important. And I think that's what's so amazing about having a team of people from all different walks of life around you. You need the psychological support as well as the physical support, because eating disorders are such a diverse mental illness. You need a lot of support at the same time, and there were times where I didn't have psychological support while I was recovering, and that was really difficult. So yeah, it was a confusing time, but it was, it had both pros and cons to it, I guess, as someone going through something so intense, I think.
And I think SEDS is such an important part of people's recovery. But when Taylor was diagnosed, she was actually under the age threshold for
Right.
SEDS.
Yeah.
So there was support through SEDS, as in referrals and advice.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then
they were
passing
really
on.
great.
And they were wonderful, but unfortunately they weren't able to provide
weren't the
all of the
providers.
support. So
Yeah.
it was a very disjointed journey of
Mhm.
trying to connect Taylor to the right services with the right people, and like she said, watching her when she felt very vulnerable and very embarrassed, I think, in a lot of ways,
Right.
when we would take her and she would have to sit in a waiting room and she felt like people were staring at her, and then she'd have to retell her story, and that was really confronting and quite tricky. So the new statewide eating disorder service that's being built is going to be an incredible leap forward in terms of providing clinical services for eating disorder patients, so that they can receive that care all in one place. I think that's just going to be an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
I agree. I think, you know, there was a lot of driving around to different places in Adelaide trying to get support. You know, this day of the week we go here, this day of the week we go there. And yeah, none of the professionals I was kind of involved with were connected in any way. So it was
Right.
literally me starting from the beginning. This is my story.
Mhm.
And retelling that trauma was like very unhealthy in some circumstances. So I definitely think there's great importance in having a whole team of people who understand you. And yeah, you definitely need all the support at once.
I mean, we often hear that, don't we, about the retelling of a story every time you go and see a new appointment, and you know, retell, and that the challenge around that is then, well, if I'm retelling it, is anyone actually hearing?
Yeah.
And so if we were to look at sort of making that, you know, that first big improvement, obviously the development of the new statewide service to bring everybody together, that's a great starting point. What else do we need to do to sort of enhance this and get this better?
I think we need to have conversations and educate people. Like Mum said, I mean, Mum was a parent with a child with an eating disorder, and until I was diagnosed, she didn't have any education about it. So I think it would be really great to educate our young people and families about this mental illness before their young people or themselves get affected by it, because early intervention is so important. If we catch it early, it's going to prevent it from ever happening. And there's a lot of things that I think I could have learnt and could have been educated on that would have prevented it from happening to me. And just about the triggers and the things that can impact it and the things that can cause it. It's not controllable. It's not something that a young person, or anyone for that matter, who has an eating disorder chooses. It is not a choice. And I think that that's something that is definitely one of the misconceptions about eating disorders and body image, is that this can kill you. It's actually, it's something that's, you know, we know that eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any mental illness. It's really scary. So I think it's education and it's getting in early to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, and that's that interesting part, isn't it, about the education. So I was very fortunate to come into your school when you were at school.
Yes.
And you helped facilitate a session with all your classmates.
Yeah.
One of the powerful things there was the thirst for knowledge from all your peers.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that, you know, we often in our mental health world think you know, we're getting it all right. But when you actually come and talk to people and find out, well, what are the gaps?
Yeah.
You know, and how often do we have the conversation? Is it structured? Does it have a plan behind it? Some of the things that came out from your group were very strong around how do we have a conversation in a safe space? How do we differentiate between, I go to school because I want to be educated, and if I need support, that should be separate.
Yes.
And you know, because that then causes conflict, doesn't it, for a teacher? One minute I'm teaching you, and the next minute I'm your therapist, and I shouldn't be a therapist because I'm actually a teacher. And how do you align that? But also the power of your own group. Your own group had lots of knowledge and were very open and honest about that.
When the teachers left.
When the teachers left.
Yeah.
So a safe space to talk and structured can be very empowering, can't it, from a young person's perspective?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a lot of power in young people connecting with other young people. That's not to say that people like teachers, you know, educators of any sort, or medical professionals who are older aren't supportive, but I think there's just a lot of understanding from young people to another young person, and I found that myself. I mean, you know, working with my peers and my friends and talking to them, was actually something that helped me get through what I was experiencing. And there's definitely a lot of safety around talking to your friends, talking to groups of young people who are like, wow, I'm going through the same thing as you, because it's generational, you know, where it's, you know, social media is more prevalent, things like that are affecting our body image and our mental health. We have a greater understanding of that, and we can talk to each other about that. And when I actually came and kind of opened up to my friends, and I guess shared my story within my school community, I had multiple friends, boys, girls, younger than me, older than me, come to me and express that they were actually going through the same thing. I think sharing our experiences opens up conversations about mental health, and I think that's something that I take a lot of pride in with what I do, is that people feel comfortable coming and talking to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, creating that safe space and being able to talk to people is really important.
And Hayley, from a parent's perspective, you know, you've attended multiple clinics, and I'm sure you've had those conversations where you're informed, well, actually, Taylor's an adult now and we can't have you involved in the case, or we don't share as much information. What are the improvements we should be looking at from a parent's perspective?
Again, I think it comes back to the education piece. It is, eating disorders in particular are on the rise, particularly since COVID. So if parents can be educated, like Taylor said, to look out for those signs. I mean, I like to think we are a really close family. We've never been disconnected, yet I miss the signs of my daughter having anorexia and being told literally there's a high chance she could die. I mean, that to me is just crazy. We need to destigmatise the sort of notion that eating disorders are just something young girls get because they're trying to be pretty or skinny. It's so much more than that. And like Taylor said, it is not a choice. She did not go into this.
There's no intention.
No, she didn't go into it trying to be skinny or to lose weight. She actually went into it trying to be healthy. So as parents, we need to understand the influence that social media, because that is a big trigger, is having on our young people and how they're feeling about themselves, and how it is affecting their mental health. So I think that's really important.
That's so good. So we've been having conversations over the last couple of weeks, very specifically around social media and the challenges there, and from a state perspective, the Premier's wishing to explore, you know, how we can alter and change that. And there was a big campaign over the weekend in the Advertiser, which I think is very, very powerful. Doing a blanket ban, that's not necessarily going to work, though, is it?
Not necessarily, no.
So what else should we be considering? Is it more about education?
Absolutely, yeah. Education is so important, and helping our young people to understand that they are in control. The algorithms feed certain things when we look at them on social media, but ultimately our young people can be empowered to make good choices with social media, because it's not just a negative thing. It can have amazing positive impacts.
I feel like a lot of people as well, like, they seem to like to shift blame to social media, or shift blame to certain things, which is completely understandable. I think we probably did it at a lot of points during my recovery, or like, oh, that could be a massive thing that's contributing to it, and you know, that's true, they are contributing to it, but there's not really a blame. Like, we can be in charge of our own lives, like Mum said, and I think that's something that's really important to encourage our young people to understand, that they're actually the boss of their own life, and if it's their choice to listen to these messages. It just so happens that we're in a really, I guess, negative headspace at some points where those messages can overtake, but if we can learn to change our mindset and shift that to going, actually, hang on, I'm in control, that's something that's being said to me, but I'm not going to listen to that because I know that that's not true.
I think for you too, you actually had a period where you disconnected from social media, so I think it is a good step to encourage kids to disconnect from it. But then when you went back on social media, I mean, it's a big thing for young people because their social connection is so tied up in social media, so you're removing, in some ways, the contact with friends. So we have to be very careful of not removing them from networks. But when Taylor went back onto social media, she was very conscious about the types of people that she followed, and that was a really difficult thing, to actually unfollow some people that she found weren't actually the healthiest choice for her. So it's a tricky one, and Taylor, you're absolutely right. Social media is not the only be all and end all solution to this, but it's one of the things that contributes to.
Yeah.
So it's again, it links back to sort of empowerment and education, doesn't it? And then having sort of control over meaningful choices.
And research.
And research that sits behind it, yeah.
Research is really important because we can't just have stabs in the dark and go, oh, we need to do this. It has to be backed by evidence.
Understand why it's actually happening is going to allow us to come up with the ways to, improve it.
So I had Professor Wade in the car last week, and we were talking around the influence of obviously social media and those sort of platforms, and her and her team are looking at a range of different research just to start to analyse, because the positive and the negative impacts, and how you can shift, and one of the areas again linked back to sort of education, knowledge is powerful, isn't it? If it's the right knowledge, that's the challenge we face with social media, is that we get influenced by this noise, don't we? We can easily get pulled into it.
And particularly with the young minds, they're still developing and learning.
I mean, I was going to mention that in terms of social media and how you mentioned, like, as long as the knowledge we have is the right knowledge, a lot of the time the things that I was being impacted on social media were people trying to explain to me what was healthy, and these people weren't professionals, they were just people who were doing what was right for their bodies that may not have been right for mine, but I was convincing myself, oh, they must be right because they look this way or something like that. Unfortunately, social media, we self-diagnose a lot and we decide things for ourselves that we actually haven't got any outside knowledge from. We're just like, they must be right because they have a platform, that's just not true at all. And we have to understand that we are all so diverse and so different. Something that's going to work for you might not work for me. I mean, I always come back to, in terms of body image, we could all eat the same thing and exercise the same and we'd all look completely different. No matter what you do, you are always going to be yourself. So it's about listening to the right people and understanding what is not the right thing to listen to, and like Mum said, it is really difficult for young people because their minds are still developing and it is difficult to understand. So there's power in knowledge that is found from the right sources, I guess.
And that's a very nice segue, because you use your knowledge to help you educate other people.
Definitely.
So tell us about this book you wrote.
Yes. Shall I grab the book?
You may have you got a prop?
I do. I brought my book. This is my book. I wrote this in 2021 for my research project for school. So I was very, very, I guess, early out of recovery at this point, and I knew that I had research project coming up, and they say to you, choose any question you want. I mean, what kind of a question is that in itself? It's like, how am I meant to choose a question? And
how do I pinpoint it down?
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, even coming up with the question, I can't even tell you what it was at this point. Like, it was the most complex question. There was so much changing, and but I knew from the get-go, I was like, I need to do something that is related to eating disorders or mental health in some way, shape or form, because that's what's affecting me right now and that's what I'm passionate about, that's what I care about, that's what I know best. And originally was going to focus really solely on eating disorders, but it was quite a common topic, I found, for people to choose. I wanted to do something really different without writing a massive essay. I was like, I'm going to do something fun. Mind you, I ended up having to write the 2,000 word essay.
You just doubled your work.
I just doubled my workload, which is great for a perfectionist like me. But I decided to focus on comparison culture, which stems back again to social media. I was massively impacted by comparison culture. So pretty much what that is the negative impacts that come from comparing yourself to other people. It doesn't necessarily have to be on social media, but I found that was what most impacted me. So I wanted to write a book about that for young people. The beginning age was 3 to 8. I ended up doing a lot of work with young people aged 3 to about 15, 16. It actually was picked up really well by all of those age groups, which is really, really good to see, because I've always wanted to work with young people from a range of ages because it affects all of us. And I think it was, I guess the book was not only therapeutic for me in the way that I got to write it and understand and I guess in a positive way relive what I went through, but I also got to like create something that was almost a story about me and share it with other people. And what I wanted the book to do was just open up healthy conversations about mental health. I think sometimes we think we need to sit down and go, we're speaking about mental health. I wanted this to be a way for those conversations to be had without, you kind of unknowingly. And I think that's really powerful. Sometimes we can get into really amazing conversations with people without even knowing, oh, we're talking about a pretty intense topic, especially with people that are aged like 4 or 3 years old, and they pick up the message. They know. You know, I was at a kindy one time and I got two young girls, both of different skin colours, and we were kind of establishing, the teacher was going, let's establish the differences, and we were noticing the differences but also highlighting how beautiful both the young girls were, and there was such positivity from them, and they were so happy and so proud of themselves because they're like, I'm different and that's good. They pick up the message really well, and I guess you can have those different levels of mental health conversations depending on the age group, and this was really good for me to understand how differently people understood the message.
It is incredible, isn't it, when you then look at, you know, your book then became a way in which you normalised a conversation without it feeling like a mental health. It was just a conversation. It just happened to be about mental health. Which is
watching those children self-direct the conversation. Because I was at a lot of the schools that Taylor went to, and all she did was read the book. And it can be used, you know, in so many different ways. But the children really self-directed those questions and really did pick up different messages. But it's been amazing to see. And not to mention that you got to raise some money for Breakthrough along the way, which
we're very grateful for.
Yes, no, that was definitely something that I always wanted. I wanted to give back to somewhere that was genuinely funding the research for, you know, the way in which we need to go in this industry. And it's been a great experience and I'm very proud of it. But I mean, I guess to highlight as well, I still struggle, and I think that's something that's really misunderstood too. Like, people often go like, oh, you're amazing, like you've recovered and you're all better now. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not perfect. There's still days that are negative and not as good as others, and there's days that are better. And I think that's really important to remember too. Like, I'm not perfect, and I don't want people to ever think I am. I'm just doing what I can with the things that I've got, and I think that is really important to highlight.
That's a very powerful message, isn't it? Because you were saying there that for every one of us, we're all on our own very unique paths. There are days when we feel great, feel we're in control of everything, but there are other days when it's actually very real again. And it doesn't mean that we're going to sort of deteriorate to a point where we actually need more intensive support, but it's actually understanding that there are triggers that might trigger things for us that make it challenging.
And it's okay to seek support and to not have that sort of shame and stigma around that as well. And I think you, on interacting with your peers, you know, can really highlight that the journey to recovery is not linear. You're not always getting better. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes you take 2 steps forward and a couple, you know, back, but that's okay.
And that's it. And that's that. I love the line. It's actually okay not to be okay.
Oh, absolutely. There's days when I'm very much not okay, but you know, there's still people out there that you know there's people who've said to me like, how are you doing so well? And I'm like, I'm not always doing so well, you know, like, and neither are you, neither's anybody. Like, we can't ever think that people are perfect, and that is.
And that's part of the comparison culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Comparing yourself to other people's happy reels.
Like, people are, like, my social media, I try my best to be myself and raw and natural, but those pictures and those videos or whatever I post, it's always the best of the best. That's just what social media is, and we cannot get stuck in comparing ourselves to that, because walk out onto the street and people aren't always having a great day. They're not always feeling themselves, and that's actually fine. Like you said, it's okay not to be okay. Like, that's normal. That's part of being a human. That's, you know, that's just life.
I did. I was asked to do a guest speaking slot, and they wanted me to talk about me. So I actually introduced the real side of me, and so I didn't go with the. You know, all this year's experience, and I've done this and I've done this and done this. I told them all the things I hadn't done. So I told them about that. My name's John, and I failed my nursing exam the very first time, and that I've actually never won an award for sport. In fact, the only time I got man of the match was when we got beat 16-1 and I was the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And you know, and that I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and I didn't manage to achieve it. And I said, wouldn't it be fabulous if all our leaders felt comfortable to actually talk this way instead? Because then we're actually all going to engage with each other. Because all of a sudden we can make that connection that I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I haven't always achieved everything. I've not always been high functioning. I've had all these other different things. So,
Yeah.
and could we feel confident and vulnerable enough to do that?
Yeah. And it's something that you definitely can take time to learn. We don't all need to be okay feeling like confident, like you said, or comfortable saying that, you know. I think it's taken like probably yourself and me like a lot of time to get to the point where you can say like, I'm not perfect. It's something you can learn, and I think there's a lot of, I really appreciate people who are able to notice the things about themselves that aren't perfect. We're all perfectly imperfect, I think, and I think that's the beautiful thing. I mean, that's what makes us all different. If we were all perfect and doing the exact thing that people expect us to do every day, the world would be pretty boring.
It would be very boring, wouldn't it? Now, this concept is based on carpool karaoke. And so if you were to have a song that summed up who you are, or you have a song that's your go-to song when you need to belt it out with the family, Hayley, what's your choice?
I'm so glad you chose her first.
Oh, that's hard. The old Dirty Dancing.
No, because I know that that's your favourite.
I've got too many. Oh, it'd have to be Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters.
Probably My Hero. I love that song.
My Hero. Is that because you can belt that out?
Belt that out, but don't ask me to do it on the camera.
No, you're okay. It's safe. It's a safe space. What about yours, Taylor?
Mine. There are a lot of songs that I really like listening to that I feel like I connect to. I like Scars to You Beautiful by, I think her name's Alessia Cara, because I think that's a really beautiful song.
Yeah.
And then I'm a One Direction girly, so probably Story of My Life or Best Song Ever.
All right.
And I'm not ashamed of it because I've been a One Direction girly since I was 7, and I'm an original fan, so One Direction.
I went to see One Direction in Manchester with Neve when...
My dad went with me. My first concert was just me and Dad.
Yeah. Well, I took Neve and 4 of her friends, and I remember sitting down at the theatre, and I sat down and I could hear this audible sigh behind me of the little girl who I was now blocking her view.
Oh.
And you just heard this, And so I just turned to her and said, don't worry, when they come on, I'm going to stand at the back. And she just beamed up. And so I went and stood there, because what happened was that when we got to the theatre, the security guard came over to me and said, if you'd like to come and stand at the back, we've got some beers, and you can come and join the other dads. So when we got there, there was just 10 other dads in the whole theatre. And we had a beer,
James felt the same.
and we watched the concert together, and we all sang along.
It's a great concert.
It was a great concert. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Dad was like, they have their voices sound the same as they do on the radio, and you don't get that often. I was like, you're so happy you went. Oh, it was like one of the only times they came to Adelaide. It was like the best. It was so good.
They were very, very good.
Pity Dad didn't go to the back with all the other dads. I'm sure that it happens at every concert.
He said it was very quick getting into the toilets though.
Oh yeah, there'd be certainly no queue for us, that's for sure.
That's right.
Now also on that back seat there should be a box of chocolates. Because this is a hard-hitting research organisation. So I'm going to pose a question for you. They are Cadbury's Celebrations.
Yep, favourites. Yep.
Favourites, aren't they? Sorry, yeah,
Yes,
favourites.
they
Yeah. And everybody has a pecking order of chocolates.
Oh yes, we do.
So Mum, what is your top to your bottom?
I don't even know what's in the favourites.
Oh, you can see
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you got a
top
list
to
there.
bottom from all of them. I would have to go. Ooh, it's hard. Number 1, Twirl,
Yeah.
Crunchy,
Mhm.
Caramello, Picnic, Cherry Ripe, Dairy Milk, Dream, Boost. Moro's going to be at the bottom.
Moro's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I know you offended John.
We embrace our differences,
We
John.
do embrace our
So
differences.
your turn.
That's really difficult.
Yeah. See, this is the hard-hitting conversations we're having in this car.
I feel like I would probably put a regular milk chocolate at the top. Because they're always safe bet. Then maybe Twirl, then maybe Dream, then Caramello, then Picnic, then Boost, then Crunchy, then Old Gold,
I
then
missed some.
then Moro, then Turkish, then Cherry Ripe.
Turkish Terriers.
Don't really like the sweet berry and chocolate.
Alright.
Just
So I need to come and live in your house then, because that means that I'll always get
Yeah, you
Turkish.
get-
Yeah. That happens in our house actually, because the girls don't like Cherry Ripe or Turkish Delight, so that I do.
you
So
get
that's
that. Yeah,
always
that
good.
works out well.
My number one choice is always Crunchy, because that just takes me back to being a
Yeah.
child.
they are
Agree.
good.
But not necessarily because it's good. It's just that you feel like you're getting the biggest one.
That's true.
So
They're nice and fat.
yeah, the
and
fatter, so that you feel like you're getting more chocolate for your minutes with. Thank you so much for coming out for a drive with us. Thank you for being so honest and sharing your own story. It's really,
Thank you
really
for having
powerful.
me.
You are
having us, yeah.
pretty inspirational,
Oh,
even
thank
for old
you.
dudes like me. And just to have that knowledge, that honesty that you actually share, and for Mum, for you also to share your vulnerability of the challenge of actually identifying what's happening within our own family unit. That can be really, really difficult at times. But also your honesty of the pride you have over your daughter. You
Yeah, I
are a
think she's
beautiful
done
family, and
mountains.
we're very fortunate to know all of you.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank you for coming out with us.
It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us.
You're welcome.